done so much for me, I cannot tell it all. Done so much for me, I cannot tell it all. Done so much for me, I cannot tell it all.
Good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us. This is One TV Global News. We'll begin the story this hour with the headlines. Adeyanji urged Peter Obi to form alliance to win presidency. INEC announces plans to extend voter registration deadline. And National Assembly workers suspend strike. On the foreign scene, death toll from Burkina Faso attack rises to 79 plus other stories after this break. To stay with us. Welcome back. I'm Flora Duke. We'll begin the news this hour with a story from politics. The CAF convener of Concerned Nigerians, Deji Adeyanji, advised presidential candidates of Labour Party, Peter Obi, New Nigerian People's Democratic Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, to work together ahead of 2023 elections. The human rights activist who made this known via Twitter Monday said it is pertinent for Obi, Kwankwaso, Sowore, and other politicians to form an alliance in order to defeat the two prominent parties, the All Progressive Congress and People's Democratic Party, that are feeding Bola Tinubu and Atiku Abubakar respectively. Adeyanji opined that it will be an Herculean task for Obi, Kwankwaso, Sowore, and others to defeat Atiku and Tinubu, except they form a collaboration, even as he noted that elections are won in villages and not in towns and cities, adding that the emerging politicians should swallow their pride and work together. Moving on, still on politics, the presidential candidate of Labour Party for the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, has declared that the unemployment of 80 million Nigerians was responsible for widespread poverty in the country. Obi spoke on Monday at a one-day international colloquium in Port Harcourt, organized by Christ Church for the presidential candidate of the different political parties with the theme, "What do Nigerians want?" According to Obi, a country that turned its people into poverty would face both crisis, unemployment, and insecurity. In his words, quote, "There is no way you will have 100 million people living in poverty and you will not have crisis. You have more people living in poverty than China and Egypt combined. A population of about 1.5 billion, there is no way you won't have this crisis we're going through with 35 to 40% unemployment rate when compared to 120 million people who are supposed to be working in Nigeria today. Only 40 million are gainfully employed, end of quote. He said Nigerians as a country is underproductive because when we talk about 80 million people that are not working, about 70% of them is made up of youth in their productive stage rather, doing nothing with so much tendencies. Away from that, our former deputy governor of the CBN, Kingsley Moghalu, contested in the presidency primary of the African Democratic Congress (ADC), has resigned his membership of the party days after losing his bid. In his resignation letter to ADC National Chairman OK Wosu on Monday, the former CBN chief criticized party leaders and the way they handled the election process to produce Mr. Kachiko as the winner. According to Moghalu, the exercise carried out by the ADC leadership was tainted by inconsistencies similar to those observed within the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) and the main opposition parties PDP. It will be recalled that Moghalu lost in a primary held in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, on Wednesday to Rhodes television founder Dumebi Kachiko when he got 589 votes to come second behind Kachiko, who got 977 votes. Moving on, a former lawmaker, Senator Magnus Abe, a gubernatorial aspirant and Rivers State, has disclosed that he is supporting the progressive presidential candidate Bala Ahmed Tinubu because he creates wealth and understands money. Abe revealed this at a grand reception put together by his supporters in his hometown Bere in Gokana local government areas of Rivers State. He said, quote, "If you look carefully at the APC, if you look at all our contributions and how the party got here, the history of Nigerians, you will know that there is no other persons, not just in the APC, there is no other person in Nigeria that can do what the Jagaban of African can do," end of quote. Meanwhile, Abe also announced that he would be starting a movement that will put an end to imposition in Rivers State, even as he urged the people of the state to be ready to chart a new course if they want to see a change from the new ways. Now to other stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced that it will deploy additional 209 machines to 5 southeastern states because of the unprecedented surge in the number of citizens that wish to register as voters and the challenges they face. The electoral body made this known on Friday in a press statement signed by Festus Okoye, Chairman, Information Voter Education Committee. INEC said it would monitor the situation over the next few days and thereafter hold another meeting to review the progress of the registration exercise, adding that every step will be taken and all options will be explored to ensure that eligible Nigerians are given the opportunity to register as voters, end of quote. The Commission appeals for patience and understanding of all citizens and further added that every Nigerian who is 18 years of age and above has the constitutional right to register and vote in any part of the country he or she resides without let or hindrance. Moving on, the national stakeholder of the All Progressive Congress have scored in the leadership of the party and the Progressive Governors Forum to narrow their search for vice presidential candidate to the Northern Christian. Their concerns stemmed from the raging controversy of the Muslim ticket, which has seemingly heated the polity in the last few days. Speaking on the program to mark June 12 Democracy Day, convener of the APC National Stakeholders Forum, Aliyu Ahujo, disclosed that the need to reject the temptation of presenting Northern Muslim candidate as a running mate will ensure national inclusion and promote national unity. According to Ahujo, he said, quote, "While we are conscious of the fact that religion should not be determining factor in our leadership selection process." Speaking on, Ahujo said that Nigerians is in dire need of good governance, which can come from either Muslim leader or Christian leader. Bishop Paul Nwachukwu, the General Superintendent of Grace of God Mission International, has said that the Muslim ticket for the 2023 presidential election is unacceptable to Christians. Bishop Nwachukwu said the two leading political parties that have chosen Muslims as their flag bearers should remember that Nigeria is a secular state. According to Bishop Nwachukwu, Nigeria belongs to all of us, and every part of the country and religion is important. Choosing Muslim as their running mate will also amount to neglect of Christians. Still on politics, the national president of Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, Sharima Shettima, has stated the Northern Socio-Cultural Group's opposition on the issue of Muslim presidential ticket in the 2023 presidential election. Following the emergence of a presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and that of the All Progressive Congress, APC, there have been insinuations of a possible Muslim ticket. Shettima, reacting to speculations that APC's Bola Tinubu may pick Northern Muslim as his running mate, said the emphasis should be on competence and not religion. He made the call during an interview with a journalist, noting that presidential candidates should consider the present situation of the country when picking their respective running mates. He said, quote, "The unity of the country is being threatened and there are lots of division. We need competent people to come to fore. It's only when you save the country that you begin to think of what to share. For example, if a car develops a problem somewhere around Abuja-Kaduna Road, you will not think of waiting for Muslim or Christian mechanic. You will be looking for an alternative mechanic to solve your problem to avoid kidnappers or armed robbers." And you're watching the News on One TV Network. The news return after this break. Just stay with us.
So much for me. Done so much for me, I cannot tell it all.
Welcome back. If you have just joined us, this is One TV Network Global News. And now to more news stories. Some delegates of the People's Democratic Party in Ogun State have dragged the Independent National Electoral Commission before a Federal High Court in Abeokuta over alleged disenfranchisement in the just concluded primaries of the party in the state. The PDP in its governorship candidate Oludipupo Adebutu and 3 governorship aspirants Segun Showomi, Jimmy Lawan and one Abiodun were listed as responding to the suit, which said about 400 of the certified delegates were barred from casting their votes at the election held on June 30th. The plaintiff, Taiwo Hindris, Kehinde Adkala, and Ayinde Mosuru, among others, sued for themselves and on behalf of 400 delegates from Ikene, Sagamu, and Remu North local government areas. They prayed the court to nullify the governorship primary in the state on the grounds that the party chose those who were not elected delegates to vote at the election, adding that it was a strategy to install the preferred candidate of some parties. They further alleged that 400 out of the 728 elected ad hoc delegates are from the wards, as well as those elected from 20 local government areas, as national delegates were not allowed to participate in the election. Still on politics, the destruction of the campaign billboards of Senator Ademola Adeleke by political thugs has been condemned by Inter-Party Advisory Council in Osun State. And a statement issued by the chairman of the council, Comrade Wale Adebayo in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, on Sunday, said IPAC frowned at what acts which could plunge the state into a major political crisis. The council described it as a totally unwarranted, barbaric, and runs contrary to sound democratic norms. Adebayo cautioned all the candidates vying for political office to see the election as a brotherly contest and not take laws into their hands, urging security agencies like the police and Directorate of the State Security to nip the act in the bud before it degenerates into full-blown crisis. He said, quote, Osun is a peace-loving state and shouldn't condone any act of indiscipline capable of truncating the peace being enjoyed by residents of the state, end of quote. Still taking political stories, a political youth group, PDP Youth in Action, has called on the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, to intervene in the internal crisis threatening the Kano State chapter of the party. The group made the appeal in a letter jointly signed by its leader across the 44 local government areas of Kano State, addressed to the PDP National Chairman, Senator Iyorchia Anyu in Abuja. The youth said it was important for Atiku to intervene and to resolve the crisis within the party before it would affect its fortune and its chances in 2023. According to them, Kano, being the most populated state in the country, had become the center of attraction by political gladiators, but the crisis within PDP had not allowed it to take advantage of the state. The group said that for quite a long time, the PDP had found itself within the range of crossfire of political bigwigs, selfish interests and ego culminating into present wars bedeviling the progress of the party in the state. Staff of the National Assembly under the auspices of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria have suspended week-long strike over unpaid allowances. The workers' strike, which was called off on Tuesday, has crippled activities at the National Assembly for a week. The chairman of PASAN National Assembly Chapter, Sunday Sabi, who addressed the members at the gate on Tuesday, said the strike would be suspended till further notice. Away from that, we'll take you straight to Bauchi State, where the state police has suspended the curfew imposed by the state government on Yewa, Tesakni, Kagadema, and Lushi areas in the Bauchi State local government areas following the violence that broke out and left 3 people dead with many injured. Report says many houses, cars, motorcycles and properties worth millions of naira were destroyed in an unfortunate incident which happened on Friday, May 27, 2022, a development which led to the imposition of a 24-hour curfew on the 3 communities by Aminu Gamowa, the Chief of Staff to the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed. After 3 days, the government relaxed the curfew by 12 hours from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. The final suspension of the curfew is coming about 1 month after the crisis, as announced by Bauchi State Commissioner of Police Umar Sanda. Away from that, a Catholic priest in charge of St. Anthony's Parish, Agua community in the Jos East local government areas of Plateau State, Reverend James Kantoma, who is also the chairman of Christian Association of Nigeria and Council area, has been kidnapped by gunmen. It was gathered that Kantoma was adopted at his house in the community by the gunmen on Sunday night. A resident of Aguara community, Silas Joshua, confirmed the cleric's adoption to newsmen in Jos Amandi. The state chairman of the Khan, Polycarp Lubo, also confirmed the adoption of the cleric, describing the incident as sad. When contacted, the public relations officers of the state command, Alabo Alfred, said the command is aware of the incident and have deployed officers and men from the anti-kidnapping unit to the community. Still taking security stories, gunmen have adopted an Anglican bishop, Reverend Oluwaseun Aderogba of Java Diocese, Kwara State, and his wife and driver. The victims were adopted along the new Oyo-Ogbomoso Expressway in Oyo State. The police public relation of the command, Adewale Osefiso, confirmed the incident in a statement. He explained that one Reverend Adenkule Adeluwa reported the incident at Adetigba Divisional Police Headquarters. According to Osefiso, preliminary investigation revealed that the victim's vehicle developed what seems to be a mechanical fault while traveling from Yewa in Ogun State to Jaba in Kwara. He added that the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations of the command has been directed to take over the operation that will lead to the rescue of the victims. The Catholic Diocese of Ondo has fixed Friday, June 17, 2022 for the mass burial of victims of the terrorist attack on St. Francis Catholic Church over Ondo State last Sunday. The Diocese Director of Social Communication, Reverend Father Augustine Iku, confirmed the date of the mass burial to newsmen on Monday. According to Iku, the mass burial would take place at the church's new cemetery at Emory Road in Owo. According to the church, no fewer than 40 people died in the attack, while many others sustained various degrees of injuries and are still receiving treatment at the Federal Medical Center and the St. Louis Catholic Hospital, both in Owo, and some other private hospitals in the States. And now to some judicial issues. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has convicted and sentenced two co-defendants in a suit filed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, against suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abukari over alleged drug deal to 2 years imprisonment. Justice Emeka Nwite, in a judgment on Tuesday, said having admitted to committing the offense preferred against them in count 5, 6, and 7 by the Ndili, Chumbuna Umebe, and Emeka Eziwanli, who are 6th and 7th defendants, are hereby convicted accordingly. Justice Nwite thereafter sentenced them to 2 years imprisonment on each of count 5, 6, and 7. He said the terms which shall run concurrently would commence from the day the defendants were arrested by the NDLEA. The two defendants may be an Ezewani, who are 6th, 7th defendants respectively, and the matter are the two alleged drug traffickers arrested at the Akano Ibem International Airport in Enugu by the Nigerian police and handed over to NDLEA. They pleaded guilty to 5, 6, and 7 counts preferred against them by the anti-narcotic agencies. Still on judicial matter, a Federal High Court sitting in Abuja stopped the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and Other Related Offences, NACTI, from inviting former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode for interrogation over child trafficking related issues. The agency was restrained alongside the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, from giving effect to summons already issued to Fani-Kayode for interrogation over petitions filed against him by his estranged wife. Justice Inyang Edenkor issued a restraining order on Tuesday following 2 separate letters served on the former minister despite pendency of a suit in the matter at the Federal High Court. The judge, who was furious at the move by NAPTI to undermine court intervention in the matter, said that no efforts must be made to give effect to the 2 letters inviting Fani Kayode for questioning in respect to the same subject matter pending before his court. Adeola Adetipe, who stood as counsel to the former minister, had complained bitterly that his client was still being summoned by NAPTI and AGF in spite of pendency of a suit by Fani Kayode instituted against him to challenge the powers of summoning him. Adetipe argued that the 2 letters are unnecessary because parties have submitted themselves to court for adjudication and no party is expected to overreach the other. The anger of the judge was provoked by Nasi Ikena, counsel to NAPTI, who justified the actions of our client and the matter. You're still watching the news on One TV network. Still ahead on the news tonight. Death toll from Burkina Faso attack rises to 79 plus other stories after this break. So stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, this is One TV Network News, and now to more news stories. The National Insurance Commission has urged the Professional Insurance Ladies Association, PILA, to use its position to influence acceptance of insurance in the country. Speaking during the investiture of Margaret Moore as the 14th President of PILA and Lagos, the Commissioner of Insurance and Chief Executive Officer, NICOM, Sunday Thomas, said PILA has the foremost female professional body in Nigeria and over the years provided the forum for developing and promoting forthright professional insurance ladies whose attributes would be the highest demonstration of empathy relating with insurance policy audits. He said insurance was becoming accepted as a social intermediation rather than a commercial concern, adding that it would be offered and sold in that sense. And now to some health stories. The Chinese government has reported 1,997 local COVID cases since 22nd April, and 166 of those cases have been linked to a single bar in the capital Beijing. A government spokesman described the outbreak as ferocious. All residents living in the area where the bar is located will be tested over the next 3 days. The number of infections in the city is low by international standards, but then high for China, which is the world's only major economy still maintaining a zero-COVID policy. The outbreak was traced to a venue called the Heaven Supermarket Bar in the well-known entertainment area of Sanlitun in Chaiyang district. 2 buildings housing hundreds of people in Chaiyang were put on the strict lockdown Sunday after a positive case was reported, a residential committee worker told the Reuters news agency. Some people in Beijing said they were sent a text telling them to report to authorities if they had recently visited Sanlitun's bars. Chinese officials have reversed the realization of some COVID rules in Beijing because of the outbreak. Most children in the capital will not return to school next week as originally planned, officials said. And now to academics. The umbrella body of university lecturers in Nigeria, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, has threatened to credit universities that have failed to comply with its decision to remain on strike while negotiation with the federal government continues. The president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Sodike, said this in an interview with Newsman Amandi in Abuja. The striking lecturers' demands include funding of revitalization of public universities and academic allowances, university transparency, accountability solution, and promotion areas. Their other demands are the renegotiation of 2009 ASU federal government agreement and inconsistency in the integrated personal payroll information system. You will recall that ASU had been on strike for the past 5 months to press home its demands. Reports from West African country of Burkina Faso says at least 79 people died in an attack by suspected jihadists on Saturday night in southern Burkina Faso town of Sayentenga. This information was released by Burkina's base new government on Tuesday. The report said 29 new bodies have been found. This figure is in addition to 50 or so lifeless bodies already found, bringing the provisional death toll from the killings to 79. On Monday evening, Burkina Faso Transitional President Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba declared a 72-hour national mourning period for the attack. According to the presidential decree, the national mourning began Tuesday at midnight and will end at the same time on Thursday night. According to the European Union, which condemned the attack, the death toll could reach 100. The Burkinabe army announced that it had killed about 40 jihadis following the attack. And now to some sporting stories. Nigerian senior soccer head coach Jose Peseiro has praised his players after the remarkable showing at Monday's 23 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixture against Sao Tome and Principe. The three-time African champions at the Ara Stadium Agadir Morocco moled their opponents 0-10, thus recording their all-time biggest win in international football. Napoli striker Victor Osimhen scored 4 goals while Terence Murphy bagged a brace. Mozi Simon, Oganekaro, Etibo, Ademola Lookman, and Emmanuel Dennis were also targets for the Super Eagles in the game. Peseiro said, quote, "We want to introduce our ideas. This match was good because they tried to follow our organizations, our style, our ideas. I'm also happy because the guys who entered during the match did well as those players who started," end of quote. Peseiro's side top group with 6 points from 2 games, while Guinea-Bissau are second with 4 points. Sierra Leone occupied 3rd position with 1 point, and Sao Tome and Principe are bottom with 0 points. National team and English Premier League star Wilfred Ndidi is inching closer to full recovery from the knee injury which truncated his campaign with Leicester City, according to the media report. And the coped the injury in Leicester UEFA Europa Conference League clash at French club Rennes. The midfielder missed Leicester City final 2.5 months of the 2021-2022 campaign as a result of the setback. The Nigerian international has, however, been stepping up his comeback from the injury as it looks to get a head start before Leicester players return for pre-season training. While the rest of his teammates are on holiday, Ndidi has been putting in hard years in the heat of Dubai, where temperatures are getting up to high 30 degrees Celsius. Leicester City will commence pre-season training ahead of the new season on June 27, and manager Brandon Rodgers will hope the star midfielder will be ready for the new campaign by then. And that's it on the One TV Network News tonight. Before we go, another look at our major stories. We brought you reporter Peter Obi edge to form alliance to win presidency. And INEC to extend voter registration, and National Assembly workers are suspended a one-week strike. And on foreign scene, we told you death toll from Burkina Faso attack rise to 79. That's it in the news. Many thanks for watching. I am Flora Duke. Bye for now.